concurrent viewer. I started the stream with so many ideas and it's all gone out of my head now. I had a busy day. I saw them take away Alison Chabot. But she seemed cheerful enough. Glowing kisses at us from the dock. What does it show? It shows that well, for me it shows that being legally trained, you are told certain things about the law that, before something happens there has to be an act of Parliament declaring it to be an imprisonable sentence if you say or do stuff, and I just don't know which act of Parliament it came from, all this hate speech thing. I just really don't know where it came from. For offences you have, the Theft Act, the Sex Offenders Act, offences against a person, Sexual Offences Act, I should say. All these things that, were passed, all these laws that were passed by an act of Parliament that says you mustn't do this or you'll end up in prison, and she's down for the Telecommunications Act. About saying things that are grossly offensive. But I would have thought that to be grossly offensive, it would have to be, well, obscene, really. Violent and obscene, and all she did was mock a few fake survivors, mock Tommy Robinson. Okay, she made a few anti-Semitic slurs. But there's no law against that, is there? I mean, is there a hate speech act or something? I just don't remember I don't remember a hate speech act, do you? I don't remember the Speech Offences Act. It just came from nowhere. It's very mysterious. I want to talk to a lawyer about it. And perhaps one day soon I will, if anyone will talk to me. I get the impression that a lot of people don't want to talk to me. Would it happen in America, getting imprisoned for? It just wouldn't happen in America because they have the First Amendment. But it would happen in Britain. It would happen in any country that doesn't have a book of rules that says, well, that defines our rights. If you don't have a book of rules saying things clearly, then people will get confused about what they're allowed to do and not allowed to do, Alison, I think, thought she was being careful. A lot of people, do think about it. It's like, ooh, I knew I could get into trouble over that, but I'll make sure I don't say anything that could be construed as inciting violence. And then you realise you're not allowed to say it. But when did that happen? Shouldn't you be informed about these things? If you look at the law and you think, well, nobody's been imprisoned for this sort of thing before. I may be being a little bit naughty, but I'm not inciting violence. Just mocking a few Jews. Or suggesting that Tommy Robinson might be a little bit Jewish. And then you're in prison. Really about a song. I suppose the only people who could have taken action against her would be, well, one of the people mentioned in her, as a fake survivor in her song about the fake survivors of the Holocaust. I think just one of them was alive and they could have sued her, I suppose. But they didn't. I think she was probably working on that. She thought that would be okay. That would mean an imprisonable sentence. From memory, I told her not to do it because, well, it wasn't very nice. It was going to get her into trouble because, when you listen to, the lyrics of certain, well, okay, you listen to the lyrics of it. You don't listen to the lyrics really. You listen to the music. If the music's any good, you might, take an interest in the words, right? Well, that's how I do it. I don't listen to the words. In fact, quite a lot of time, on quite a few occasions, I don't actually know what people are singing. I have a kind of lyric blindness. So if people are singing songs in an opera, I would really need to know what the plot was about, or I would be in the dark as to what people are singing to each other. And also, if you have a political message, the best method of transmission of any political message would be, well, it sounds boring, but it would be a leaflet. I guess these days it would be a tweet or a post. But in the olden days it was a leaflet. Why a leaflet? And I didn't say booklet. A leaflet is, well, just short enough to be read from beginning to end. So, if Alison had a message to communicate, she could have done it that way, and then the message would be clear. But as it is, people who don't like Jews would have thought it was quite funny, or who are neutral, they might like the song, they might recognise Hava Nagila. But of course she didn't deserve a prison sentence, and it's evidence of how crazy we have become to imprison people on these really very minor offences when the far more dangerous criminals than Alison going about their business. I see that in other countries they are using a similar rule. But these rules should be made clear, you see. The thing is, it's like, well, if you're not allowed to insult certain groups, then people should know, right? They should know that they're not allowed to say things. I guess in the olden days there would be laws against, well, in the olden days there would be laws against blasphemy, and you would know not to say these things. But currently, the situation is this: you think you have a right to say it, and then the law says, no, you're wrong, you can't say these things. And you think, well, there's no precedent for this before. And I don't know, it just comes up. It came from nowhere. There is no Act of Parliament there's no hate speech act. Because if there were, people would know, or well, they would object, wouldn't they? They'd object to hate speech laws because it sounds so horribly Orwellian. And when they realise how it works, then, well, I think the majority would be very angry, because really it came from the Equality Act. If you really, really want to find something to pin all this on, so it's basically anybody with any protected characteristic, and you only have a protected characteristic if you are mentioned in the Equality Act, which from memory is, you can't discriminate on grounds of race, you can't discriminate against grounds of religion and age and gender and sexual orientation and disability. I think there's 6. Maybe there's something called, sexual identity. Maybe you're now no longer allowed to mock people who aren't certain about their gender identity, who are gender fluid. I don't really know. But off the top of my head, there are already 6 protected characteristics. So people in these groups would have a protected characteristic, and they would win. They would always win over people who don't have protected characteristics. And this, I would suggest to you, is by definition discriminatory, and therefore thought crime. So if you go through the Equality Act, it's a consolidating act containing the Race Relations Act, which forbids discrimination on grounds of race, the Sex Discrimination Act, which forbids discrimination on grounds of sex. So, yeah, discrimination. Now, what is discrimination? It's a verb, isn't it? It's a verb. No, sorry, it's a noun, but it referring to, well, I'm going to say act of discriminating, and but you see that there's no act that you can see because it takes place in the mind. So when you decide to discriminate against somebody in your mind, well, it takes place in your mind. Nobody can see your mind acting to discriminate against someone. Well, the point is, it's a thought crime. So, all the categories of all the protected groups mentioned in the Equality Act are protected against discrimination, which means you're protected. They are protected from, well, there is this thought crime of discriminating against these groups. So we have thought crime in the UK, which is a bit totalitarian, I would suggest. Have there been any similar modern times? I mean, that's a good question to ask. Perhaps this thought crime thing is not really such a new thing. So I was talking about the Blasphemy Act. The blasphemy is something that you do, you say something and you do something, and it's deemed to be blasphemy. So that's not technically thought crime. I suppose you could, just shut up about your doubts about the divinity of Jesus, and you would be all right. Just shut up. Don't tell anyone that you don't think Jesus is God, and you'll be okay, and you won't be burnt at the stake. So what is the difference between blasphemy laws and what happened to Alison? Well, Alison didn't know that Jews had suddenly become holy, I suppose. Is it something to do with them being God's chosen people and being in a category above the Gentile, and they have to be protected? You have in Thailand, you're not allowed to insult the king. Is it like that sort of thing? I suppose Jews might argue that no, they're not the only people. Technically, Muslims could be protected against having their feelings hurt, and gay people and transgender people and women. But I suppose people think, it's the Jews because there's so few of them, right? There's so few of them, and they're always getting all that attention, and the more attention they get, the more envy they get, and then more people want to complain about them, and then they get convicted of thought crime, and then they hate Jews some more. So if you want to discourage or decrease anti-Semitism, then complaining about anti-Semitism is not the way to go, because it's one of those things that you actually provoke more of it by complaining about it. So you might as well shut up about it unless it's something really terrible. So if people mock you, I suppose you have to take it on the chin. And this is something I seem to remember reading about when I was doing defamation. And there was this term called common abuse. And it was held not to be defamatory, because I could call you an effing C, and that would be legal, because there's no law against it, and it wouldn't be libelous, because it would actually it wouldn't mean anything. It was just a abuse rather than a defamatory statement. I think that's what it meant. It was a long time ago. So we are in a situation where certain groups have certain privileges over other groups, and obviously the group at the bottom is the white indigenous married man. So he's actually at the bottom of the heap because he has no protected characteristics at all. So I guess above the white married father would be the white married mother. It sounds a bit like a sum that I could be working out, I guess. How can I do it? Yes, white married father I can't even do this category. I suppose at the top would be the disabled transgender person, who would have the most unprotected characteristics of all. You see, I'm not even allowed to say male transgender man or woman. It doesn't matter anyway. Disabled transgender person would be right at the top with the most protected characteristics and well, the most high status person, followed by, I don't know if I'm doing it right, really. I guess I need to think about it a bit more. Maybe, okay, then able-bodied transgender person who is not being discriminated. And then disabled gay. Okay, disabled lesbian who is non-white. Disabled gay man who is not white. And then I guess I need something like a graph or something. It's getting a bit complicated. Oh, okay, I'll do it and work it out for you, I guess. But I think you get where I think you understand what I'm trying to say, don't you? That the people who are supposed to do most of the work are at the bottom of the heap. And this means that the more senior you are, the more vulnerable you are to intersectionality. And this means that the people in charge, who are supposed to be running the ship of state, are actually the lowest status of all. And what happens if this is the case is that they will be corrupt and hypocritical and cowardly, and they won't do what they're supposed to do. And well, you won't get much of a country when you allow this to happen to your senior male politicians. And that's why we are madly sending weapons to the Ukraine and censoring people who dissent from taking this action. And then we'll get, World War III, and then we'll, I don't know, will you be blaming the Jews? Are they really responsible if World War III breaks out? I've got a message on the thing saying I have to verify that it's me or something. And my computer's very slow. Maybe I should just turn it off. But I did get a chance to explore a few ideas. Can you even hear my computer? It seems to be groaning and moaning and sighing and... I'll shut down a few windows. it a bit strange. Why would they ask me to verify myself in the middle of a stream? I don't even know if you can hear me. Why wouldn't it be me? Is somebody complaining? I don't know what's happening. It doesn't seem to be verifying the thing. Can people hear me? Oh, I don't know what's happening. Can anybody see me? Can anybody hear me? It's still got that stupid dialogue box. I'm sorry about this. I really don't know what to do. Oh, okay, I'm in the wrong account. Let's see. Oh, I don't know what's happening. You seem to be able to hear me anyway. Okay, I'll resend it. I don't know, but you hear me. You hear me, but I can't access that bit of the stream to even post in the chat. But I see. Oh, good. So okay. I don't know what's happening. I'm sorry about this. It's very annoying. Okay, I seem to have got rid of that thing. And I've only got 3 concurrent viewers anyway, so it doesn't matter. I'm just I've said what I wanted to say, haven't I? Okay, so to sum up what I thought I said, it was that intersectionality is, well, it's particularly dangerous to men who are supposed to be running the country. We don't want gender fluid people to be the most protected people because we don't quite trust them to run the country. They don't have any kind of a track record about running the country. If the people who are supposed to be running the country, senior white men, are in fact the least protected, then they're not going to do a good job because they'll be afraid to say or do anything, because they'll be afraid of getting blackmailed and accused of all kinds of things. So it's not a good lookout. I mean, I'm just pointing to the problem, really, to people who don't seem to understand. even if they've been legally trained. Or they can't talk about it to me because I'm persona non grata, I'm perceived as somehow dangerous or subversive. Joe, I don't know about the news of Duvitt getting sucked into a whirlpool while he was water skiing. Are there whirlpools in... Well, I've never heard of such a thing. Isn't he still streaming about his Hasidic philosophy music thing? Anyway, I am a little tired. I think I've said all I wanted to say, so thank you all for coming. Ken, who's Ken?
I am very tired of Trovia using people.
Oh, Ken Barlow. Yeah, I remember Ken Barlow. He was boring, yes, that was the thing. Anyway, they've changed the libel laws.
And people, I feel so heartbroken that people are being deceived by him. And I figured I am not the best studied on Judaism, but I'm well studied than most Christians are. And so I know how to counter what he's saying and give you examples that he is lying. He's basically lying.
All right, Cody, live on the air. Please state your name and where you're calling from.
My name is Paul Mandel. I'm calling from a place called South Boston, Virginia.